So the final revisions of the CalTPA have been made, and credential candidates, instructors, and support providers may have some questions on how to prepare and complete the revised CalTPA. And just to be clear, the CalTPA is here to stay. It has been revised, but for legal, professional integrity, and accountability purposes, there needs to be a performance assessment for teachers. I know those of you who would like to see the TPA completely eliminated won't like this, but almost all professions requires a series of classes and some type of performance assessment. Whether you're going into building, contracting, even plumbers, electricians, architects, doctors, lawyers, personal trainers, even getting your driver's license requires a performance assessment. And the CalTPA is one of the performance assessments required for teachers. And if directions aren't followed, if there's little or no planning, if it's taken for granted and the assessment guide isn't read, the CalTPA can be challenging. There's a lot involved, and instruction, support, and resources should be provided and reviewed during a credential program to help candidates be successful. Welcome everybody, I'm Dr. Beasley, CalTPA Coordinator and Assistant Professor of Education. And in this video, to help support providers and candidates become a little more familiar with it, I'll provide a brief and general overview of the expectations of the new CalTPA. The California Teaching Performance Assessment, or CalTPA, is the state-mandated assessment for credential candidates. It's designed to evaluate a candidate's knowledge of teaching skills, different teaching behaviors, knowledge of content standards, and how to align those standards to instruction addressing the teacher performance expectations, or TPEs. The CalTPA is broken up into two parts called instructional cycles. Cycle 1, which for candidates other than single subject and world language is focused on math instruction. And Cycle 2, now known as the Literacy TPA, is focused on literacy, English language development, and foundational reading instruction. And this includes those components that were previously part of the RECA. Single subject and world language candidates will complete their CalTPA in their credential area. And it's important to note, both cycles must be passed before a candidate can be recommended for their preliminary credential. There are actually about 10 different versions of the CalTPA. There's one for single subject candidates, multiple subject and world language credential candidates. Education specialist candidates have 6 different TPAs, one for extensive support needs, mild to moderate support needs, American Sign Language, early childhood special education, visual impairment, deaf and hard of hearing candidates, and there's the new PK3 TPA. There are some differences between these, but they all follow the same format and pedagogical sequence, which is number 1, plan. During the planning phase, candidates get to know their students, develop their lesson, determine their teaching strategies, and identify how their instruction is connected to students' backgrounds and learning needs. Number 2, teach and assess. In this part of the sequence, candidates teach and video record their lesson, demonstrating effective teaching behaviors, and also they assess student learning. Number 3, reflect. In this part of the sequence, candidates reflect on the effectiveness of their teaching and assessment of student knowledge, and then identify what was done well and what can be improved. And 4th, apply. Here, candidates explain what instructional changes or adaptations can be made to the next lesson. There are a number of rubrics used within each of these areas by the CalTPA scorers to assess and score a candidate's materials and performance against the assessment criteria. For both cycles, there are several different materials and narrative documents that candidates will need to complete and submit. For Cycle 1, first, there's Part A, the contextual information narrative document, or getting to know your students. This is where candidates demonstrate what they know about their students. They discuss their backgrounds, different assets they have, funds of knowledge, and also learning needs. Candidates identify 3 focus students and discuss their specific learning needs as well in this part, and how they plan to address those needs within their lesson. There are some specific requirements for the focus students, and those are mentioned in the assessment guide. But for each focus student, candidates will need to plan how math adaptations build on their cultural or linguistic assets and interests. Part B is the development of a universal design for learning lesson plan, which of course needs to be aligned to the appropriate standards. Part C is a lesson plan rationale narrative document where candidates justify and provide a rationale for the choices and activities mentioned in their lesson plan and explain how their lesson connects to students' backgrounds, interests, and funds of knowledge. For Part D, candidates include or describe any resources and materials used in their lesson, and this can include handouts, notes, slides from a presentation, technology, or anything else used in the lesson. For Part E, candidates upload video clips from their recorded lesson. They'll need to video record the entire lesson and select 1 to 3 clips, no more than 15 minutes total, from that lesson. Candidates can submit one continuous 15-minute video clip, for example, or 2 7-minute video clips, or even 3 4-minute video clips, so there's some flexibility. The video clips must clearly demonstrate the candidate's ability to, number 1, address active math learning, content, and practices. Number 2, provide academic language development. And 3, monitor students' math learning through an informal assessment. More specifics and details of the video clip expectations are covered in the CalTPA assessment guide. Part F is a commentary on the video clips. Instead of annotations, which were used in the previous CalTPA, candidates can now provide commentary or an explanation of the instructional choices made in those video clips, which can be written, verbal, or done in ASL, American Sign Language. So if a candidate doesn't mind being on camera and can verbally explain what's happening in their video clips, they can video record an authentic commentary discussing what is happening in each one of those selected clips. Part G is the reflection on what you learn narrative document. Candidates reflect on the effectiveness of their lesson and discuss the evidence that demonstrates this and explains why it was effective or not. And lastly, Part H, which is the application of what you learn narrative document. In this document, candidates describe what they'll do differently in future lessons to advance students' learning and academic language development, including what they'll do differently for focus student number 1. Now, for Cycle 2, also called the Literacy TPA, this cycle has undergone the most changes, with SB 488 requiring the reading competency requirement to be restructured, which moved the RECA into the TPA. So now, with the RECA no longer being offered, completing the Cycle 2 Literacy TPA satisfies the RECA requirements. And the legislation and revision also make sure that TPE 7, Effective Literacy Instruction for All Students, is also included and addressed in the new Cycle 2 TPA. The emphasis of the Literacy TPA is on providing systematic, specific, direct instruction in literacy. Now, Cycle 2 covers a full instructional unit of 3 to 5 lessons called a learning sequence. And in that unit, candidates will focus on a selected foundational reading skill, provide instruction in an additional theme, either making meaning, effective expression, language development, or content knowledge. Candidates demonstrate the use of assessments as well and how to adjust instruction based on assessment results and integrating ELD instruction. For the content and narrative documents required in addressing the plan, teach, assess, reflect, and apply pedagogical sequence for Cycle 2, candidates will complete Part A, which is the contextual information narrative document, or getting to know your students. Candidates are expected to review any recent available literacy assessments, literacy or language profiles, and any other information about their students. And similar to Cycle 1, candidates will discuss what they know about their students, their backgrounds, prior knowledge, and interest, all related to literacy and language. Another change that's new to Cycle 2 is the identification of a focus student. Candidates will select one focus student who is either an English learner or a student with a literacy-related disability, or who may need additional support in the foundational reading skill for their grade level. They'll provide information about the identified focus student, discussing their background, their funds of knowledge, their learning challenges as they relate to literacy and language development, and any assets that student has. Also, candidates will need to demonstrate how they will intentionally modify instruction to support and meet the learning needs of the focus student. For Part B, this is the learning segment or unit plan. And this is where candidates plan and develop and submit their 3 to 5 lessons within the learning segment or unit. They'll identify the formative and summative assessments that they'll use and indicate how they are going to integrate foundational reading skills. Part C is the description of assessment narrative document. Candidates will provide a clear description of a formative and a summative assessment that they'll use within those 3 to 5 lessons that they've planned, and describe what ELA, literacy, and ELD goals are evaluated or measured by those assessments. Part D is a blank copy or description of the summative assessment that's used, and this is self-explanatory. Candidates simply provide a blank copy of the assessment and a rubric that they plan to use in the final lesson of their unit. And Part E are video clips from those lessons taught within the learning segment or unit. Candidates can submit 1 to 4 video clips as long as the total time of the video clip submitted doesn't exceed 20 minutes. So a candidate can submit 1 19-minute long video, 2 9-minute videos, 3 5-minute videos, or maybe even 4 3-minute videos. So there's still some flexibility there as long as the candidate is seen demonstrating the required teaching skills, which are how they are actively engaging students while teaching the foundational reading skills using a direct and explicit approach, how they are providing integrated ELD instruction in the selected additional themes from the ELA or ELD framework, and how they use assessments to check for understanding and provide specific actionable feedback to the students related to ELA literacy and ELD goals, and number 4, how they adjust their literacy instruction based on those assessment results. Part F is the written, verbal, or ASL video clip commentary describing and providing a rationale for what's happening in those video clips and why. And Part G is the focus student's summative assessment response. Here, candidates simply upload the focus student's completed summative assessment, and this can be in written form if the assessment was a written assessment, or a video of the completed assessment if this was a demonstration or performance. Part H is the focus student's summative assessment actionable feedback. For this part, candidates will need to upload a written summary or video recording of the feedback that they provided to the focus student on their summative assessment. Part I is the reflection and analysis of the summative assessment used. And here, candidates review, they analyze and reflect on the completed summative assessment, and based on the rubrics that have been used for the class and for the focus student, determine the best results. Part I is the reflection and analysis of the summative assessment used. And here, candidates review and analyze and reflect on the completed summative assessment based on the rubric used. And this is done for the class and for the focus student. And based on the summative assessment results, candidates describe what they think was effective about their teaching and describe any modifications or changes that they would make if teaching this lesson again. Part J is the reteaching or extension activity narrative document. Now, based on assessment results and using video clip evidence, candidates will explain the need to either reteach the lesson, providing ELA and literacy instruction differently for those students who need that additional instruction and support, or candidates will explain the need to teach an extension activity for students who met or exceeded the ELA, literacy, and ELD goals. Then Part K is a video clip of the reteaching or extension activity. And for this, candidates will submit 1 video clip of no more than 5 minutes of them either reteaching the lesson differently and addressing literacy instruction in a different way, or providing an extension activity demonstrating how they are further developing literacy skills to advance student learning. And finally, Part L is the written or verbal video clip commentary for the reteaching or extension lesson activity. So there's a lot involved in the planning and the completion of the CalTPA. And so it's important for candidates to take their time to plan ahead, read through the assessment guide carefully, follow all directions and instructions, and spend time reviewing any additional support materials provided. Dedicating a little time daily working on each step and narrative document one at a time rather than looking at the TPA as a whole can help with focusing on the individual tasks and requirements. It can minimize stress and also help to balance the workload, increasing the chances that you're going to be successful. So be sure to like and subscribe for more information and support to come on CalTPA.